everyone, Danny here today for like take 20 or something to try and talk to you about the audiobook Knights of Erador, Book 7 of the Echo Saga, written by Philip C. Quaintrell and narrated by Stephen Rand. This is an amazing book, and okay, so I'm holding Charlie because this is our new puppy, Charlie. She wants attention, and she keeps chewing on my toes when I put her down. So hopefully she will just sit there and quietly remain and let me do my review here. You're part of the reason why there have been so many takes. Phone calls and other interruptions have been as well. So this is a truly amazing book series. One of the things that I'm just blown away by is Philip C. Quaintrell's ability to come here, girl. Philip C. Quaintrell. I'm just going to do the video and let the puppy interrupt because otherwise I'm never going to get this video done. Philip C. Quaintrell's ability to throw twists and turns and curveballs. And he has an amazing curveball. And absolutely, I mean, his curveball starts out headed towards home plate, right towards the strike zone. Should be a home run. It's going to come right across the plate, and then it curves, and the first baseman catches it. I mean, that's the kind of curves that he does. Usually, an author who throws the amount of curveballs into a book as this author does reaches a point where it just no longer makes sense. It's to the point of ridiculousness. And it destroys the book and it destroys the series. And you're like, okay, you need to make up your mind because you've just lost the thread of the story by now. That's not what happens here. Each and every twist really deepens the story. And what it does is it gets you to the point to where you start trying to figure out which direction is the author going. What is the real reality of what's going on here? I did that prior to this book coming out. If you saw my review of book 6, I told you in book 6, hey, I hate Elijah. Elijah had better not become king. There's no redemption of Elijah whatsoever. Like Vegan, hey, Vegan would make a great king. I'd be okay if the direction that the author was going was Vegan's eventually going to be this king that the Crow was going for, not Elijah. Excuse me here. I don't want to interrupt this video. Been at it for like 2 hours trying to get this thing recorded, no joke. But the start of this book, when you're introduced to Elijah, it's another curveball. It's a whole nother. And I was the first baseman. I was standing over there and I was like, hey, there's no one on the bases, you know. This guy's a home run hitter up at the plate, so he's either going to strike out or hit a home run. I can stare up at the clouds and I can look around. And then Mr. Quaintrell threw one of his curveballs, and instead of catching it, it hit me in the head, and I was sent wonky and silly. And what curveball am I talking about? Before I get into that, I have a favor to ask. If, like me, you love audiobooks, please subscribe to my channel. Turn on notifications. Join me on my audiobook journey. What kind of a curveball am I talking about? Elijah comes out, and he's a good guy. And it makes sense that he's the good guy. And you start liking him. And you start rooting for him. So the book starts out decades later than the last book ended. Which happens. It's all the Echo Saga. But it's also 3 trilogies. And each trilogy starts out decades after the other trilogy ended. This is book 7. It's the first book of the final trilogy. So it's decades after book 6 ended. And Elijah's all of a sudden a good guy, and Vegan needs him. Vegan really needs him. Vegan's in trouble. His kingdom's falling apart around him. Him and Inara are at loggerheads. They can't agree on which direction to take anything, and in steps Elijah. And he literally feels like, oh, the Savior has arrived, right? Well, maybe not, because there's more twists and turns to come, and I don't want to give away the book. But it's just, all the discussions I've had with my boys about this book and this book series, as we try to figure out, okay, let's look at the Easter eggs in the previous book, because Mr. Quaintrell leaves hints. He leaves Easter eggs behind. But they're Easter eggs and hints that are really easy to look back and go, oh, that was what he meant way back in book 1. They're not so easy in book 1 to go, well, I think in book 7, this is going to happen. They're not so easy. And you've got hints and things in this book. So Elijah and his dragon, their relationship is completely different than the Draghorn's relationship. Their relationship is almost more like master and servant than dragon and companion. And I'm not going to tell you which one's the master and which one's the servant, but that makes you wonder going forward. Is it going to turn out that the person I think is evil really isn't evil? They're just under evil influence, and all we have to do is break that influence, and all of a sudden they can become good. He causes changes between Inara and her dragon's relationship. What's going to happen moving forward with that? And what's up with the drakes? So book 6 ended with the creation of the drakes. The orcs get transformed by some artifact that Asher had found, and now they're like part elf, part dragon, evolved from orcs, which were evolved from humans and dragons. It's very complicated. You'll have to listen to the book series. But they're kind of a combo between dragons and elves. They have zero influence on the world around them. At the start of the book, they're more hunted than anything. But there are hints left behind that they're going to play a major, major part at some point in time coming forward. Elijah comments that he has told his forces to spare the drakes and to capture one and bring it to him alive, because he needs it, because he needs to access its power to complete its plans. What are its powers? There's no hint of what those are in the beginning of the book. And this is funny. Last night I was talking to Jonah about this. We spent well over an hour talking. So book 8's out on print. It's not out on Audible yet. He's finished book 8. So he's a book ahead of me. I've only finished book 7 because I'm waiting for the Audible version of them. And I mentioned that about the drakes. And I mentioned that about Elijah's comment about the drakes. And Jonah immediately goes, what? What? Now that makes so much sense. I missed that in book 7. And so in book 8, the drakes were not making sense to me. But now they make perfect sense. Oh, man, that clarifies everything. Very curious to see what's going to be up in book 8. From what Jonah has said, book 8 starts off with some major slaps to the face. So, going to be some dramatic starts to book 8. I'm waiting for it to come out on Audible. Don't know. As of all of the other book series, you've got it. Lots of action in this. You've got lots of drama. I love the fact that the dwarves come into play more. Dorian Heavybelly. He's allowed to re-enter his clan, and there are Easter eggs and hints dropped that he's going to become a major power in the dwarf clan and lead the dwarves, who've been very reclusive, and dwarves are for dwarves, as in most fiction. involving dwarves. Dwarves are for dwarves, and you've got the one or two dwarves that deal with humans and everyone else, and the rest of them are very reclusive. It's that way in this, but there are hints that in the upcoming world, because Elijah, he makes a comment at the end of this book that he did not come in to just take over the world. He came in to destroy and remake the world is his purpose. So in this new world, the dwarves' culture is probably going to be completely changed, and Dorian's going to play a major, major part in this new dwarven world. That's a prediction I'm making moving forward. Once again, it's Philip C. Quaintrell, so hey, who knows what's going to happen? Joan and I, an area we disagree on, he does not want Vigon to become an eternal creature. He does not want Vigon, so the crow's purpose, which you didn't realize in the first 3 books that there even was a crow, let alone that he was influencing and controlling those first 3 books. These are the kind of changes Mr. Quaintrell throws in there. Now everything moving forward is being viewed through the lens of the crow. What was the crow's overarching goal? And up till now, and at the end of book 7, it still seems like his overarching goal was to put Elijah in power, to make him king of the world. But Joan and I have discussed, we're both wondering, there have been comments made that monsters can only create monsters. And even the crow said that a monster can only create a monster. And the crow viewed himself as a monster. So maybe the crow was deceiving Elijah and everyone else, and his goal wasn't to make Elijah the king of the world, but rather to make Elijah the monster that the king of the world saves the world from, and in doing so sets himself into power. But he's supposed to be an eternal king. Myself, I don't even like the idea of an eternal king. I really, too much potential there for the king centuries, decades later to turn evil, to turn powerful, to turn stuff like that. So I don't really like the idea of an eternal king. Jonah and I both feel like Vigon would make a great king. Is a great king and would make a great one moving forward. Jonah feels like it would ruin his humanity to make Vigon eternal. I agree with Jonah on that, but at the same time, you've got this romance between Vigon and her name just slipped my mind. Anyhow, the Dragonborn that he had a romance with when they were younger, and then they broke it off. Kind of a romantic at heart, so I'd like to see that romance rekindled and restarted, but at the same time, how's that going to happen if she's eternal and he's not? I mean, as it is already, even though she's his age, looks like she's like 20 years old, he's 40. And because he's aged, he looks like he's 40. There's going to reach a point to where it just, it's gross. It doesn't really work. Despite every guy's, supposed fantasy. Not all guys have this fantasy, by the way. Definitely not all guys have this fantasy. But the supposed guy fantasy of, a younger chick. There's some of us who are a lot smarter and wiser than that. And I'm happy to say I'm one of them. So, real weird side. Oh, you're fine, Charlie. We just had a delivery at the front door, so now Charlie's going nuts. Anyhow, I want to see that romance work out. But how's that romance going to work out if Vigon doesn't somehow become an eternal being like the gal he's in love with? Now, maybe the change in her relationship with her I don't know. It's just very curious about book 8. I probably going to have to wait 6 months or more, even though the print version is out, for the audio version to come out. And all I can do is wait. Let me know in the comments, your thoughts on any of the questions that I've brought up there, whether you've caught any of these Easter eggs. Maybe you've caught some Easter eggs that I've missed. Let me know about them down in the comment section, please. But no matter what else, what am I doing? I'm jumping straight to the ending there. See, the puppy's distracting me. She's chewing on my toes right now, and that's very distracting. If you like my video, please hit the like button. If you like this channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Questions, comments, feedback. That's what the comment section is for. Put them in there. But most importantly, no matter what else you do today, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good audiobook. And I definitely recommend The Echo Saga by Philip C. Quaintrell. Thank you. Have a great day.